Good evening, Councillor Burns. Good evening, John Senior. Could I call you John, Mr. Senior, please?
Absolutely, no problem. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm chair, by the way.
Yes, I've got the agenda.
All right. Okay. Right. It's gone 7 o'clock. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Working Party. Item number 1 on the agenda. To note that this working party has no delegated authority and may only make recommendations to full council. Urgent actions may be taken under delegated authority given to the clerk and the chair. Item 2, apologies for absence. Vicky, any apologies?
Yes, the Mayor, Councillor Bruce Davison and Councillor Liz Smith.
Thank you. Item 3, declarations of pecuniary interest and request for dispensation. Anyone? Councillor Brown?
Yeah, item 7, the Vesti Trust that own that land are now my landlords. So I'd like to step out while that's discussed, if possible.
Okay. Thank you for that. You got that, Vicky? Yeah. Okay. Item 4, minutes of the previous meeting. Can you put the minutes up, please, Vicky? Thank you. Okay, to approve the minutes of the meeting held on 9th of August. Page 352. Page 353, please. Raining very heavily here, actually, now. Page 354. An objection on item 3 or application 3. 355, please, Vicky. Three, 5, 6. Is that the end? Yeah. Right. Thank you very much. Right. First of all, can I have a proposer and a seconder that I sign this as a true record? All those in favour, please show. Oh, sorry. We'll have a Councillor Brown. Sorry, Councillor Smith proposed, and Councillor Stitchcombe second. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Yeah, all 4. Okay. Item 5, which is matters arising from those minutes. Is there anyone? Can you have that up again, Vicky? There's no actions on them that I can see, but I just want to know if anyone wants to sort of talk on them particular parts. Was yeah, that's it. Is there anyone? Next page, please. No. Okay, next page, please. No. Next page, please. That's it. Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Item 6, members of the public to speak on planning matters other than the applications before the working party. Mr. Senior, John, sorry. Do you
That's all right. No,
speak
no, I'm
on any of
interested in number 7, that's all.
that? Okay, right, thank you. Item 7, to consider planning applications to West Suffolk Council. I will invite the members of the public who wish to address the working party in relation to a planning application to speak ahead of the working party, considering each application in turn. Application 1, which is DC 22-0664 ADV, small a, 2 externally illuminated fascia signs, small b, 2 non-illuminated fascia signs, small c, 2 non-illuminated totem poles, I think, small d, 12 non-illuminated post mounted signs, small e, 8 non-illuminated numerical signs on loading doors, small f, 2 directional signs, small g, 10 non-illuminated information signs. This is Haverhill Business Park, Unit 8, the Trade Centre, Iceni Way. Okay, is there any comments on application 1 at all? No? Okay, can I propose a please for neutral on this one? Councillor Stitchcombe and Councillor Brown seconded. Thank you. All those in favour, please show. Okay, that's carried. Application 2, DC 22-1333, VAR, variations of conditions 2 and 6 of DC 19-0226 FUL to allow for approved car parking plans U BP PP 004 and FP 28675 A112P. And this is Mr. John McCreth, Fair Homes Property Developments, 1 to 3 High Street. Is there any comments on this one? Councillor Burns?
Yeah, I think if you would, you may want to consider, Chair, combining this with agenda item 9, because it's for exactly the same car park, exactly the same applicants, and exactly the same building, other than they just renumbered the street scene. It all affects the same thing. The only thing I've mentioned about it is, and this is a request of the police, is that they put no right turn signs at the exit of the car park to discourage people trying to drive the wrong way down Swan Lane. But we all know it as the Argos car park. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Isn't there a sign on the post opposite? No right turn.
There's a one-way sign on the side of the police station, but there's no right turn signs leading out of the car park.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah, you're saying 2 signs, are you? 2, 1 to the left and 1 to the right sign?
Yeah, either side of the exit. I've already put my comments in on one of the applications, but agenda item 9 is for exactly the same thing. They're both relevant to each other. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Committee, working party, may I join application 9 with this application? All those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. Right, okay. Is there any other comments? Councillor Brown?
Yeah, I'd just like to support Councillor Burns and the police's comments about the no right turn when it leaves the car park. Yeah, you often see cars coming out of the Argos car park turning right. So yeah, I think that'd be good for safety. Yeah. Yeah,
I second that. I entirely agree that it should be, because I've seen them many a times. You know, I've even pointed it out to them. You're going the wrong way, and they just go and carry on. You know, it's an accident is going to happen there one of these days. It really is. Right. Okay. Can I have a proposal then that we say neutral to this, but comment on this sign? Please show. Councillor Brown. Councillor Stitchcombe. Second it. All those in favour, please show. Yeah, overwhelming. Okay, thank you for that. So that's application 2 and 9 together. Application 3, which is DC 22-1322 FUL, small a, change of use of property from open bracket, close bracket C, dwelling to open bracket E, open bracket small f, close brackets, day nursery, small b, single story flat roof extension to the rear, small c, widen vehicle crossover and create 2 drop-off parking bays, small d, replace existing garage door to window, Mr. and Mrs. Wheeler. This is Golden Apples Daycare Nursery, Littlecroft, 10 Hamlet Road. Okay, any comments on this one? Councillor Greeny?
Yeah, I'm dead against this planning application. It's just the wrong place for a day nursery of that size. To start off with the parking, they're suggesting there'll just be 2 parking spaces, which will only be for drop-off. Obviously, they're suggesting there's going to be 60 children at a time. 2 spaces is not enough. Obviously, cars will be parked all the way up Hamlet Road and wherever else they can find a space. There's no parking for staff. They're suggesting that staff can use the public car parks. It's just not acceptable. Suffolk County Council, their standard for parking, I think, suggests they should have 15 parking spaces for staff and another 3 parking spaces for visitors. The drop-off spaces will require cars to reverse on and off onto Hamlet Road. Obviously, as we all know, it's a very busy road, cars parked all the way up it, also a bus route. Having cars reversing off, that's just not acceptable. One of the neighbouring property in their comments have picked up on the fact they're going to build onto a Grade 2 listed wall. Be interested in on the impact on that wall. And then the other thing I'm not happy about is the opening times they're suggesting. The opening times are far longer than what a school would be open for, and I think that's going to have a detrimental impact to the amenity of the residents living around it.
Thank you. I do apologise, John. I really do. I'm sorry, but I should have had you first before I went to the councillors. So can you put your comments now, please? It is application 3 you wanted, wasn't it?
No, 7.
Oh, right. I do
No,
apologise
fine.
again then. Right,
No,
okay.
no, absolutely fine.
Right.
No.
Okay. Councillor Brown, did I see your hand? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Councillor
Yeah, I
Brown.
would like to support what Councillor Lucarini has said, plus all the comments from all the nearby residents. There's some very good and eloquent reasons to object to this from the nearby residents. I honestly can't believe that someone would put an application like this forward in that location, to be fair. It's a residential house. It's in very close proximity to other residential houses. With up to 60 children playing in the garden, etc., it's going to make quite a lot of noise. It's going to potentially degrade people's enjoyment of their gardens when they're sitting out in the gardens. But all that pales into significance to the traffic issues. I regularly my wife works in the hairdressers at the top of Hamlet Road, and it's chaos at 9 o'clock in the morning anyway. It's always a struggle to get through there. dread to think what would happen with loads of cars pulling up, dropping young children off on the path. It's absolutely, I'd like to actually propose that we strongly object to this application.
Thank you for that. Councillor Burns, then Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat what the other two have said because I think they're totally right. It's interesting. The planning statement says the place will only be viable if they have at least 60 children there. It's not a case of up to 60. I understand, I've been told by the planning officer that Public Health and Housing have a serious concern about it, although they haven't yet submitted their formal comments. Obviously, Highways haven't submitted anything yet. I hope they just don't rely on Google Earth and think it's all wonderful, as sometimes they will do. I find it astounding. We, as you say, it's a bus route. We know the problems of parking along Hamlet Road, which makes visibility. I did it this afternoon coming down to the Arts Centre. 4 times I had to pull in as people coming the other way because it's effectively a one-lane road. It's no longer a 2-lane road as it should. I mean, my personal view is there should be either residence parking permits or double other lines along that road. And of course, we have people parking opposite Elmhurst Close, which is apart from being illegal under the Road Traffic Act, and nobody seems to want to do anything about it. That's what causes problems because you get that white van parked there, you can't see past it. So I find it quite incredible they want to move off the industrial estate to here, and I don't understand the reason behind it. The grade 2 listed wall is an interesting one, because I know West Suffolk are still waiting for the conservation officer to make their comment. But based on what I've heard in previous similar applications, they normally object quite strongly to anything that's going to affect anything that's listed in any shape, form, or whatever. And I think you've 2 existing councillors already mentioned. I think I've said everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, just before I come to Councillor Smith, I think it's been 8 Hamlet Road. I do apologise. 8 Hamlet Road. That's my dog. Has said that the application's already. It's got application SE 070644 has already been rejected, and that is with 17 parking spaces. So it looks like Highways already been involved to that because it's a. Would that be Highways, 17 parking spaces? I think it would, wouldn't it? So, just to bear that in mind. Councillor Smith?
Yeah, I'm not going to say too much. It's struggling to find any redeeming features to this application, and I agree with what everybody else has said. It's the wrong size, the wrong place, the wrong business. I think Councillor Brown proposed objecting, and I would be happy to second that.
Okay. Anyone else want to say anything? No? Okay. Right. Councillor Brown, are you proposing that we object on all them grounds?
Yeah, I'd like to actually strongly object.
Strongly object.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Smith? All those in favour, please show. That's carried. Thank you. Okay, the next one is application 4, which is DC 22-131 FUL, 5 apartments. Okay. Right, five apartments following open brackets following demolition of existing building, close bracket. Mr. R. Oakley, Onions Yard Developments Limited, SR Builders, Station Road. Okay, any comments on this one, please? Councillor Burns, then Councillor Smith.
Well, it was going from 4 to 5 flats now, or 5 units now. And they're saying we were allowed 1 parking unit in the Pytal parking space, which was part of the deal with Tesco's when it was built. So where the rest going to park? Station Road and the Pytal is actually subject to a traffic regulation order. And parking tickets, well, I'll say again about parking, should be issued in that area. So I'm not certain how they expect. Now they're going to claim, of course, like all these other flats that keep getting built in the town, that people, it's in the town centre, so it's a sustainable location. Well, it's not sustainable if you can't manage to walk to where your place of work is. You know, it's only sustainable if you do. And we've seen this in many times in Haverhill with flats in the town centre, and Bury is even worse with where they've given this over, you know, the Havebury development over there where they issued 29 flats with no parking. I think it's, personally, I think it's too much massing. I think it's trying to squeeze too much into that area. You know, the design of them isn't bad, but I think the parking side of things, I think they're just assuming too much. They're just trying to get too much out of the place. You know, there are objections from, I think it was somebody on Prince of Wales Cottage, if I remember rightly, or both Prince of Wales cottages, you know, which they objected to the previous application. And it's, and I believe the height of it has changed from the 4, I don't know if anyone, I haven't actually studied this one too much. The height of the new proposal is bigger than the previous one. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, I think it is. Also, I noticed that the commercial business is objecting because they're taking their part of the bin store as part of their land or something, part of their access, which seems strange. So that should be in there. Okay, Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I was confused. I thought I could have sworn we'd already sort of spoken on this one previously, but as has been said, it's actually increasing the number of dwellings on this site, which is, I think we was already concerned with the overdevelopment of the site anyway. So I don't think any objections could be changed in that. I can't remember. Perhaps Vicky would be able to remind us what we actually said on the previous application. I'm sure we objected, but whether I think it got approved at West Suffolk. But perhaps anybody might want to clear that up for me. But I would still say it's an overdevelopment of the site.
Thank you, Councillor Sitchcombe.
Thank you, Chair. I seem to remember that there was at least some token attempt to provide parking on the site with the previous application. Does that ring a bell with anyone? And we objected. We said, well, it's only 1 or 1.5 parking spaces, and you know this is clearly inadequate. So, if anything, they've, you know, as John said, they've increased the number of dwellings and reduced. I seem to remember they reduced the parking space to 0.
Councillor Burns, do you want to come back? You're muted.
I've found the previous application that Councillor Smith wanted with the Town Council comments, if you wanted to see them.
Yes, please, if you can put them up.
Okay, bear with. Hopefully, I think that is it. If you can read that, okay?
Yes, yeah, fine, thank you. Oh, there's no parking provision, Councillor Sitchcombe.
Let me know when you want to stop it.
Okay.
Everyone read it?
Yep, thank you. I have, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm very slow, so yeah.
No, that's fine.
Thank you for that. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, to be fair, I quite like the design. I think they've tried hard. They've incorporated the stone that we wanted. For that space, I think well, they've done a good job. Other than it's the parking and the bin storage. It looks like they've got to take their bins down a passageway that I don't think they actually belongs to them, and they leave them round the back of the business that has objected. And there's potentially 5 bins there in a narrow area. So I think that absolutely needs to be resolved. The parking itself, I know the area quite well as everyone else. I think it is not very good there at all. This is just going to exacerbate the situation. If no one had parking down there, I wouldn't be too worried about it. But I just feel sorry for the existing residents who do, get their cars up there, because it's going to cause them, problems. So, the actual design of the building, what they're doing there, and to be fair, the actual flats do meet national minimum space standards as well now. So, which is a good thing. So, all in all, I quite like the development. It's not higher than the buildings to the left of it. I'll be quite happy with it, except for the parking and the the bin storage issues.
Okay. Is there any other comments at all? No? Okay, where should we go? Any proposers for this, please? Councillor Brown?
I think, to be fair, because of the bin issues and the parking issues, I think we've got to object, but we can say, if the committee is willing to do so, that they're, happy with the actual building, etc. itself. It's just the bin and the parking issues.
Okay. Councillor Luccarini, do you want to second that, or you want to speak?
Yeah, I'd like to second that, please.
Right, okay. Right, all those in favour, please show. Okay, yeah, that's carried. Thank you very much. Item 5, DC 22, or application 5, I should say. DC 221394 HH, front porch. And this is Mr. and Mrs. Brown, 30 Money Piece Close. Any comments at all? No? All right, can I have a proposer and a seconder for neutral, please? Councillor Stitch can propose, Councillor Greeny second. All those in favour, please show. Yep, overwhelming. Application 6, DC 221423 FUL, replacement of range of barns. And this is Mrs. H. Pelly, Great Willsey Farm, Little Ratting. Councillor Burns?
Well, as you know, Chair, this is in our patch, as it were. It's a shame that the old barns got burnt down last year, I think it was.
Yeah.
I've seen the new designs. They're look very nice as far as I'm concerned. But what I thought really caught my eye, and I think Councillor Brown will appreciate that, was the fact they're planning to provide workshop space for small businesses, which is desperately needed around the place. And it's up on the Great Willsey Farm, away from the visibility of anybody, unless you're going to walk past it on the public footpath. I thought it looked really nice personally. That's why I haven't commented on the application when it came through. Thank you.
Thank you for that. All right, any other comments at all? No? Councillor Brown?
Yeah, I'd like to propose support. I think it looks from what the plans are that they're really doing a good job of sort of replicating to some degree the existing old barns there, and as I say, it's providing local businesses with potential workshops, etc. So it's a big win-win, I think.
Thank you. Okay. Any other comments at all? Right, Councillor Brown is proposing we support this application. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Luccarini, I saw first. All those in favour, please show. Yeah, that's carried. Right, this is application 7. DC 22-1398 RM, submission of detail under outline planning permission, DC 16-0473 OUT, the means of appearance, landscaping, layout and scale for the construction of up to 30 dwellings, associated garages, ancillary development, public open space and landscaping. And this is trustees of Vestey 1993 settlement development land. And this is Brickfield Drive. John.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I live at 26 Masons Close, which is right at the top of Masons Close and adjacent to the new development. I just acknowledge, first of all, the help from Councillor Mason, who's given me guidance on this application, sent me the agenda, and I think is going to speak, or was looking to call in anyway, I think, to speak on it from a note that I saw. I've written to the planning officer to outline the sort of the key issues, but I thought it'd just be useful if I could just highlight some of the changes and concerns that I still have. I did write 12 months ago as well, when the previous application was in, which was subsequently withdrawn. There have been a few changes, two positive changes. At the rear of my property, there were a few houses that were looking right into my back garden, and they've sort of reorientated those slightly, about 45 degrees, and also reduced the number, which is positive. There was also a proposed pedestrian access that basically extended across almost my front garden, but they've removed that as well. However, what they have done, and I will say quite subtly, they've suggested on the landscaping plan that there will be a fence and new hedging, but they've left a couple of gaps in the hedge on the landscaping plan. No indication at all that they are for pedestrian access. There's just a couple of gaps. The problem being that at the top of Mason's Close here, we do get quite a lot of people who drive up and park, take their dogs for the walk, climb over the fence. And I think if those gaps are left, they would essentially become a footpath for people coming through. And we do have a few issues with, you've talked about parking in some of the other applications, but Mason's Close, if anybody doesn't know it, is a shared access road. There's very little parking. It's quite narrow, and people sometimes just come and leave their cars at the top, and have been in the habit of of walking through the fields. There is no footpath up here. There is no right of way. The footpaths are both to the side of the field. So I am requesting that the new fence is built. The old one's 15 years old now, and the hedging covers the complete end. So in other words, those gaps are covered by the fence and the hedging, and hopefully the landscaping will then be able to, or the hedging will be able to mature and prevent people from going in and out through the end of Mason's Close. That's number one. The final point really is one that I know has been raised on a number of occasions before, and that's the means of access is still through Brickfields Drive, and that's the major concern. Our estate is now much older. Families are grown. We've got more and more cars parked, particularly on Hales Barn Road. COVID, working from home, has meant we have a lot more work vans now. And there are constant problems of, the refuse lorries haven't got up. I've got a disabled lady lives down the end of the street. The ambulance has been having to park in the middle of the road. So any more traffic at either end or through Brickfield, through Hales Barn Road, is going to continue to cause a problem, even forgetting the difficulties that they would have with construction traffic anyway. So I would like to see the council support, again, an objection on the grounds of access. So happy with the the development itself, I don't think there's much more that can be done with that, but it's the access in the two areas I've mentioned that remain of concern. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know why they couldn't build it the other side. If you look on the plans, there seems to be if you look on the plans to the right, why they couldn't build it there. There must be a reason.
Yeah.
But it seems, I think the main road would that would join the eventually the new bypass. If they built it sort of to the right, the access will be from the main.
I don't know
road.
how the Ansuckling Way one links into that side of things at all. I don't think that was considered, because this application has come after the Ansuckling Way one was approved, doesn't it? So I just think they've just looked at a space and thought, well, that's a good way in.
Right, thank you for that, John. Thank you. Councillor Burns?
I've been involved with this now for just coming up to over 6 years now, this application. This came before committee in September 2016 for the outline permission, which I objected to strongly. Much of what John Senior said about the footpath by Mason's Close, I've actually got my document that I wrote at the time about it. In terms of there are a number of things that we went on a site visit. I remember doing that. The land was not included in Vision 2031, but the planner said, oh, it's not a problem, because the reason it was approved was because the relief road basically made it landlocked, couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't use it for anything. You couldn't get farm machinery into it. But I blame the owners of the land. That was their problem. They owned the whole lot, but they decided not to sell that bit of land off. I suspect, knowing full well what they plan to do with it. So it was given outline planning permission. In terms of the I suggested at the time they took a temporary link road off the Northwest Relief Road while it was built. The planning permission, the outline permission specifically stated they could not start until the relief road was started. I got that in. They originally wanted to start straight away, and I said no. They made all kinds of claims about all the jobs that were on the Northwest Haverhill site, the schools, that they could claim those as being for their residents, and I said no, you can't. There were a load of traffic and highway safety concerns at that meeting. There was a great emphasis on the pedestrian link to Mason's Close. But what the biggest problem, as John Senior just mentioned, is construction vehicles. How are they going to get into this site? The proposal at the time, which astounded me, was that they were going to ban local residents from parking every Monday and Friday along Howes Barn Road for up to 12 months. Now, I noticed on the latest application, there's no construction management statement at all, or plans. That went down like a lead balloon. Basically, sorry, residents, you're going to be totally inconvenienced by us building a new estate, which has got nothing to do with you. And and I pointed out at the time, the NPPF does not allow you to lower the amenity value of people who are already living there. They also said that County Council had come up with the scheme. Nobody was consulted. And this is basically that they would only allow the scheme to go ahead if that TRO was in place. But equally, I took a load of photographs at the time. I remember these were 6 years ago. So I'll just give you one example, if I may. Sorry, this one. Where is it? Okay, if I may just show you this one. I know we all know this street scene. That to the left is where the development is going to go. And the idea is all the construction vehicles will come that was the plan, to bring them down this road. And it left into just where that blue car is, into an entrance just there. And of course, I objected like mad. So, but there's nothing new. I mean, the estate itself, I don't have a major problem with, other than the fact that I don't think it should have been built there anyway. But I think the problem being is I don't think anything has been resolved from 6 years ago, unless Councillor Mason knows any different. But that was, you know, I was involved heavily in this, as I say, 6 years ago. And I've still got the folder on my hard drive with all the files and everything else from that time. So it just goes to show how important it was at the time. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Mason, then Councillor Stitchcombe.
Hi, good evening. Out to John's knowledge on this, I mean, it is reserved matters. They've got outline planning, so it is clearly going to go ahead. Me personally, I think the whole site could have done without an extra 30 properties, potentially another 60 cars. And so many properties tend to have 2 cars or more nowadays. I think it's absolutely correct what Mr. Senior is saying about the impact of traffic on Hales Barn Road. I encourage all of you, if you've got nothing to do one evening, especially at the weekend, is to drive down Hales Barn Road and look at the parking and the density on the small roads, bin lorries, ambulances, fire engines, real concern, not just in this particular part of the estate, across Meadowlands in its entirety. We've got some severe problems in terms of access, and parking is very much an afterthought. As regards the estate, it's roughly in line in design with the rest. It's in keeping. I'd like to talk about number 26, which is Mr. Senior's property. Is there any chance that you could have a put up the block plan, John?
No, I haven't got the, no, not without doing a little bit
No,
of.
no, sorry, no, John, Councillor John.
Oh, sorry,
Burns,
me. Sorry, I thought you meant me.
John.
Beg your pardon. I've got it printed.
So the area we're looking at is, it looks like a rather happy character, Mason's Close, with his arms up, and there's a green area at the top. So quite often we look at the red line as the entirety of the application, as we should, but the gaps in the hedge are clearly so that people can access the green area that has a bench at the top of Mason's Close. So any access onto that is going to encourage footfall. Now, I'm trying to play devil's advocate a little bit. We're not talking about dozens of properties probably accessing Mason's Close, but people will cut through, for example, school children on the way to Castle Manor. You know, that going down Mason's Close will be probably one of the easiest routes down. The particular problem that I have isn't the fact that there is an access, it's the fact that it seems to be a bit of an uncontrolled access. And if you can please put up the landscape proposal, John.
So I'm looking for it. Anglian water application, Anglian environment, flood, forest decommission. No, it helps if I look at the right document. Hang on a sec.
Landscape proposal.
Yeah, sorry, hang on. Landscape proposal. Sorry.
Sorry.
Hang on.
So this,
Hang on a sec. There with share screen. Oh, hang on a sec. It's why is it doing that? Hang on a sec. It's decided to do it in wrong way round. Hang on, let me open it up. Oh, come on, where are you? Go away, Dobby. Right, let me try this. And share. So I'm trying to.
Sorry, John, I'm not going to call up any other documents. Don't worry.
Sorry,
Also
it's the wrong way
twisted.
round, but where do you want to go?
Can you rotate it?
Try that.
Excellent. Okay, so
why is it not allowing me to move across? Okay. Can you see it all right?
if you scroll down, yeah, if you scroll down a little bit, John.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Right, so oh, hang on. That's not.
Is that the one you
need to move across?
I'm looking at 584, document 584.
Okay, sorry. Okay, bear with. Let me have a look.
.584, yeah. You're there, that one.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody. That's it, thank you. Can you scroll down?
Yeah, hang on.
Okay, so you can see the two gaps in the hedge, and you can just about see the green area just above where it says soil conditions, which I can understand that giving access to that green area isn't just for the residents of Mason Close, but it's a communal space. Obviously, I can understand Mr. Senior's concerns about that becoming a communal space where previously it hasn't been. My question is whether it needs two access points, but also that a rather immature hedge is not going to provide any barrier whatsoever. And my inclination is either to close it off entirely or to have one access point with a wooden fence, just a simple wooden fence, to create a physical barrier, because a planted hedge is you're just going to be able to walk through it, basically, and it's going to become quite scratty. Now, the entrance point for people just walking through on the right, I think, is too close to number 26. And I think they need to look again at that. It doesn't need two entrance points to access that green area. And I think at the moment it's kind of got uncontrolled access. We're not looking at dozens of properties, but I think Mr. Senior's got a point, and I'd like the committee to consider that. Talking more broadly about the application, I didn't see any reference, Chair, to electric vehicles and charging points for electric vehicles. Accessibility, the properties have front door steps. Persimmon are now producing properties where there isn't a threshold, and it's a rollover threshold to properties. And I think that is a standard that we should be looking at for properties to make sure, where possible, they can be accessible for people with mobility issues. And finally, yeah, talking about Hellsbarn Road, Brickfield Drive is very narrow, and I've got real concerns. I hadn't even considered the construction traffic, so thank you, Councillor Burns. I'm very concerned about the impact this is going to have on the existing development, and I think when it does go to development control, which I'm certainly hoping it will do because I have called it in, we're going to need a lot more detail and get assurances, because I think this could become misery for an awful lot of properties towards this northern edge of this development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mason. Councillor Sitchcombe?
Thank you, Chair. The title of this Reserved Matters application is a bit strange because it starts the means of appearance. Well, I think that is because normally a Reserved Matters application would include access, wouldn't it? It would be the means of access, comma, appearance, comma, blah, blah, blah. But access is explicitly not in this one, according to the application form. So I think means of is a kind of a typo there that someone has fed into it at West Suffolk. So I think it should really read just the appearance, landscaping, blah, blah, blah. But that begs the question, where is the Reserved Matters application that is dealing with access? Does Councillor Burns know the answer to that?
Councillor Burns?
It was in the outline permission. This is the one where I mentioned that the highways, Suffolk County Council highways, and so I'm just trying to think of it was. If I can find it, basically they wrote in what year, what time, this date this was. This was a guy called Colin Bird. We have no objection to development. However, there's a high level of on-park thing. A traffic management scheme may be possible. And then the other one, which is a Word document, these were conditions that they wanted. No part of the development shall be commenced into a traffic regulation order restricting parking in the vicinity of the junction between Brickfields Drive and Howes Barn Road has been implemented. The use shall not commence until a traffic management scheme has been provided within the highway to restrict access to the section of Brickfields Drive between number 2 and number 28. And it's basically reason to prevent additional traffic using a section of residential road which is unsuitable due to the type of road. So what they were saying there was construction traffic will be allowed through, but the residents will no longer be able to park on the road. But of course, we all know the Howes Barn development particularly was approved in the days when parking was a maximum, not a minimum. So they were all done up there. Many of the houses were actually done with no parking whatsoever. But as has been mentioned, you know, everyone's got 2, 3, 4 cars these days. You know, people grow up and they can't afford to buy another house. And so yeah, actually, I was desperately just trying to find, while we were talking, I was just trying to find the decision notice to see whether or not that actually had that condition in it, 0416 0473. Because that's obviously not mentioned anywhere in you know the planning statement or in their long planning statement, which was basically about the thing. Because of course they say, oh well, we've already got you know, outline. I'm just going to have a quick look at I found the outline. Let's have a look at the decision notice. Decision notice. There we go. Details of landscape. Prior to the development, comprehensive construction site management program should be done. No building, surface water. Okay, no. Condition number 10: no part of development hereby approved should be commenced until a traffic regulation order restricting parking in the vicinity of the junction between Brickfields Drive and Howes Barn Road has been implemented. No dwelling should be, number 11, no dwelling should be occupied until a traffic management scheme is provided in the highway to restrict access to the section of Brickfields Drive between number 2 and number 28. Now that last part could be to do with stopping construction vehicles going between those two areas. But if you put a traffic regulation order and basically are not allowing anything, then nobody can park there. So it's basically access. You know, a load of the photographs I remember I took them in the early evening, and I presented them to the committee and said, look, you know, this is what it looks like, because that's why they went on the site visit. But of course, that's been approved. I objected to it, as I said, but other people outside Haverhill, probably didn't care less at the time. So I don't. I think most definitely, I think the question about construction has to be asked. How they're going to get all their big HGVs up there with, and everything else. My suggestion at the time, there were 3 suggestions I made. One was off the Relief Road, slip road off the Relief Road. 2 was to come further west into the site. And the 3rd was to negotiate with, because remember at the time in 2016, the whole of the land was still owned by the Vesti family. They hadn't sold it to Persimmon. So they could have done what they liked, but they basically ignored it. I don't know why they never sold that bit of land to Persimmon. It seemed a bit strange, but anyway. So
thank you,
that's all I can give you on that one, I'm afraid.
Thank you. So I'm still confused about this. Are you saying that access was never made a reserved matter because it was somehow dealt with as part of the outline planning permission, and therefore it didn't need to be a reserved matter?
Right. The outline planning permission, the only item on the outline planning permission was means of access to be considered. That was the only thing. So it's the concept of, yes, we're going to have up to 30 dwellings, associated garages, ancillary development, public open space and landscaping. But the only thing that was reserved matters in that outline was means of access.
Oh, I'm even more confused now.
So what they're basically saying is they've already decided that the means of access is going to be through that top of that, the top end of Brickfields Drive there. I'm trying to remember what it is going south.
John, can you help us, please?
John Senior, can you remember what they named that?
Sorry.
Can you help us on what Councillor Burns has just said?
Sorry, I missed it. It went. Can you
repeat that again, John?
Sorry,
Councillor Burns, please.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that last sentence again, please, Councillor Burns?
So when you across the top of Brickfields Drive, where they're going to have the entrance to the development, there's a road that leads south. Is that still Brickfields Drive?
That's still Brickfields.
Oh, it's still Brickfields. Yeah. Okay.
I think the idea was that the top end of that would be, because you can drive, sometimes if Halesbound Road is full, you can drive round Brickfields Drive to get to the other end. And I think they were talking about blocking the top of that off to stop that as a throughway. So that's how I understood it.
But they proved that they couldn't get what do they call them, HGV with tractor units around the corners.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's what they proved it at the time.
Yeah, your picture, highlighted that.
So really,
just raise one other thing. Is the actual outline planning permission expired last month?
Oh dear!
Don't you just love it?
I believe. What it says, it says. Unusually for this one, they gave them the expiration of 5 years from the date of this permission, which was the 15th of August 2017, or the expiration of 2 years from the final approval of the reserved matters. In the case of approval on different dates, the final approval of the last such matter to be approved. So if they'd have come in with reserved matters, but equally the Item 3 of the original outline was, as I mentioned earlier on, the residential hereby permission not be commenced until development of Relief Road has been approved under planning permission so-and-so commenced, which has obviously only started about a month, 6 weeks ago. So I don't know whether the
when did they actually put this application in? Vicky, do you know? What's the date on there?
Well, that's irrelevant from the 5 years. Oh,
well, even though if they put it in sort of before August time?
No, it doesn't matter because it has to be approved.
Right.
So it'd be interesting to see whether that's being picked up by officers. I have to say it wasn't me who saw that.
Right. Right, Councillor Sitchcombe.
Sorry, I'm still confused about what this application. This is a reserved matters application, and I think Councillor Burns has just said that the only matter that was reserved by the Outline Planning Commission was access.
Yes.
In which case, why are they making a reserved matters application about appearance, landscaping, layout, and scale?
Well, that's basically the rest of the reserved matters. They've already.
Well, hang on. Then you contradicted yourself. You said there is only one reserved matter, and now you're saying
At the outline 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah. Well, so where did these ones come from?
These are this is his latest application.
Yeah, but they must have. Sorry,
Sorry, they've not been approved. They're in this application.
Yeah, but they can only be reserved if some previous edict says that they're reserved. And my primitive understanding of Outline Planning Commission is that at that stage, the Outline Planning Commission says, well, the following matters are, we're approving this at outline level, but the following matters are reserved. Or have I not understood that properly?
No, reserved basically the reserved matters are items that were not determined at the original application. So this is everything outstanding other than the means of access.
Okay, thank you. And at what point do you believe that the access was approved? Within the original Outline Planning Commission?
Yes.
Okay.
In August 2007.
Okay. So that was the one thing that wasn't reserved. It's not on the reserved list because it was dealt with at the time.
Correct.
Okay. Right. Thank you. So that's water. That's water under the bridge, and we kiss goodbye to that. It's terrible, but it's not.
Yeah, but there were a load of conditions applied to that, which 5 years, 6 years later, things could have changed.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Okay, so we ought to be objecting. Did we that?
You can object on accessibility, construction management, all that sort of stuff, because that construction management is part of the latest application.
Well, so we can't say anything about the other application, the previous application. Being out of date or being past the time. Would that
you can do because there were conditions in the application that have not been met. Right. Such as the TROs, for example. But the TROs have to go to the public, local residents, for consultation, and they have to agree to it. If they don't agree to it, they won't be issued. So if they're not issued, those TROs, highways will naturally object, or did object anyway, because their condition was it will not be allowed unless those TROs are implemented.
Okay, so we can object on that as well then?
Yeah, it has been done. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Going back to, I'll come back to you, Councillor Sitchcombe. These EV charging points is because that pass, mind you, if that's gone now, the pass application, because under the new EV charging, all new housing projects must have an EV charger in their garages. That's a new policy now. And I'm wondering if that's why they haven't put this on the application, or was the EV charging come under the last application? Can you help me out? Does anyone, John, Councillor Burns, do you know? Would the EV charging be under the last application?
No, it's under this. If anything, it'll be under this one.
Right, because it's not on this one. No. I know that.
No, there's very little in the planning statement, I thought. So it was relevant to all this sort of stuff, yeah.
Because I think that even if it's policy, the only policy is that they must be in the garages. Now, there's a lot of them that's got their parking places away from their houses with no garages on this particular plan. So I think that should be put in, Vicky. I think both of them should be put in, just as a reminder that, charging 7 kilowatt chargers in garages, and also chargers for parking spaces away. I know they won't do it. They're just, hopefully though, they'll put electricity to them areas. like Persimmon's done. So, but that, I think that should go in as well. Councillor Sitchcombe.
Chair, do we actually have a proposal at the moment?
No, not yet. No,
Okay, well, I'd
that.
like to propose that this be an objection for many of the previously stated reasons. It sounds like we definitely need the failure to comply with conditions. We need to, expand that list as far as possible, like the absence of TROs.
Including John Senior's. What he said as well. Right. John, have you got any more you want to add on what we've spoken about?
No, it's absolutely fine. As I said at the start, I appreciate Councillor Mason's sort of support. I'm not going to go on and on about the fence and the access, but there already is a fence there at the moment.
Right.
They are proposing a fence, but this fence is 15 years old, and as I said, dog walkers and other people climb over it anyway, and I've repaired it, the council have repaired it. So I think if we're going to do something, I would prefer no access. And the main reason is that people do have the habit of parking right at the end of our road because they can't go any further, leaving their car and then climbing over the fence. So I know that from experience. So it's not just about the traffic, the pedestrian traffic. It's about the potential visiting somebody on the estate, coming up our road, leaving the car and then walking through, which happens even now without anything being there. So not a big deal, but just something I want to raise, as a concern.
Illegal parking, it's, that's what's happening because
and
we of that particular fence.
Yeah, we haven't got the space. There's room for one car on that little, Y-shaped at the top. It's just right there for turning around, really. Because there's no footpaths or anything on our road at all, so no, I'm happy with what's been discussed, and thank you very much for listening.
Right, thank you. I expect Councillor Mason said this, but we're only a consultee.
Yeah.
Obviously, the main people do it at the West Suffolk District Council.
Yeah.
Development control, they're the ones. So I expect
he's actually sent me
Councillor Mason's already said. Yeah. Okay. I'm coming to you, Councillor Mason. Yeah.
Yeah, he sent me a little note anyway, just explaining the next steps. So
right.
He's keeping me in touch. That's fine. Yeah.
Thank you. Right. Thank you, Councillor Mason. Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's all right, Chair. Thank you. To be honest, it's a bit of a trivial thing, and to be honest, I'd like to invite comment on whether you think I'm barking up a wrong tree. With every application now that comes forward, I'm increasingly looking at its green credentials, and I look at the number of south-facing roofs. Now, you can't have every property with a south-facing roof because it would make for rather an unattractive development as a whole. But I would like to see developments where they try and maximise the number of south-facing roofs so that we can give new residents the option of installing solar panels. And I think when we're generating these new communities, we need to be trying to find ways of giving people that opportunity, if they so choose, to generate their own electricity. I definitely see that's the way going forward, and I think with each new application we should be adding that to the list. It's not just the EV points in garages, it's also the real estate on the roofs, maximising that southerly aspect. I just wondered what you thought, or whether you think I'm barking up an unrealistic tree.
Well, I'm in full support of you on that. I really do. I really hope that someone will in West Suffolk will make it policy. I don't know. Eventually, maybe they will. I don't know. Councillor Smith.
That's the sort of thing we're talking about local plans, isn't it? So if you want that in the policies, then that's part of the consultation. Yeah, but I would support that anyway.
Thank you. I will mention that because I am attending them meetings as a substitute. Okay, thank you for that. Right, okay. Councillor Sitchcombe, you're proposing that we object on all the grounds we discussed? Yeah?
Yep. I've also just got one other comment to make, if I may, Chair.
Yeah.
I happen to go back and look at the totality of what stems from the Outline Planning Commission, and I see that I think it's a fairly recent separate application for a non-material change. I've got the reference number here. It seeks to relax condition 19, whatever that was, it was basically phrased as complete accordance with details of the approved plans and documents of the Outline Planning Commission, presumably. So the proposal is to delete the word complete accordance, and replace it with broad accordance. So they're asking for, a coach and horses to drive something or other through, and that's in a separate application, and they're just asking for that as some kind of administrative approval, I think, somewhere by some officer. So whether we want to say that we're not very happy with that, I mean, that's not an application that's in front of us at the moment, but someone with more experience might be able to advise whether it's legitimate to flag that at this stage. Thank you.
Yeah, as we haven't received that yet, and we should receive it. It shouldn't go straight to officer unless there's a policy that them sort of things do go to officers. I don't know, but it should come to us. So we'll discuss it when it eventually does come to us. Okay. So anyway, you're. Can I have a seconder for the objection on all the things that's been stated? Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Smith, right. All those in favour, please show. Yep, that's everyone. Thank you very much. Okay, Councillor Mason, thank you for that. Thank you, John, for attending. As I say, you can stay if you want to. But it's entirely up to you.
No,
and Councillor Mason.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. And as I say, Councillor Mason's keeping me in touch with the progress anyway. So thank you very much for listening.
Right. Thank you very much, both of you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye. Right.
If you wanted to go to the pub, you only had to say.
Councillor Brown, Vicky is questioned whether. Can you repeat what you wrote, Vicky, in the chat?
We need to know what your declaration is. Is it a pecuniary?
I'll put it down as a pecuniary interest, yeah, because they're my landlord at my business, so yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. Right, application 8, which is DC 22 1432 HH, small a, conversion of existing garage to a habitable space. Small b, removal and replace garage doors with wall and insertion, is it? Yeah, I think it is, of window and render to match existing dwelling. And this is Mrs. Joanne Colville, 14 Turn Close. Councillor Burns.
Yeah, I'll be very quick. This has been done all throughout the Birds estate, particularly on the one south of, on the Sandpiper Turn, Rosefinch. Loads of people have done it. Quite a lot of them have done it without permission. I can't see any major problem with this. Yes, you've got to look at the parking, but we all know, they've got driveways, most of them anyway. Or they'll park on the road, one of the two. Personally, I can't see any major problem with it. I did have a quick pop down yesterday. I couldn't see anything obviously wrong with it. I don't know if you've had a chance at all. Is this on our patch, as it were, again? Thank you.
Yeah, I used to live a couple of doors away, so I know that area very well. I haven't lived there for years, 30 odd years. Right, okay. So can I have a proposal for neutral on this one, please, as there's no more comments? Please. Councillor Brown, I saw first, then second by Councillor Greeny. All those in favour of neutral, please show. Yeah, that's carried. Thank you very much. Right, back to the agenda. This is item 9, matters to report. Any matters to report? No? No? Okay, thank you very much. The date of the next meeting is item 10, which is the 20th of September. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Really good meeting tonight. And I will see you on the 20th of September, if not before. Thank you, Vicky.